To cut a long story short, he proceeds to start to threaten me. Hi, welcome. This is a video on bad customer. I've previously recorded a video talking about a customer experience journey, and I alluded to the fact that we might have had the odd bad customer. Well, the first thing to do as a business, for any business, especially, someone like us, we specialize in some very unique cars and a very unique product, is to make sure you root out choosing or opting to sell to someone that is potentially going to be a headache, someone potentially that's going to be a bad customer. Like with many things in life, sometimes things may go wrong. It happens. This is where you need to have the right customer base, with people that are polite, respectful, people that are understanding, people that kind of have a human to human level of respect for one another to kind of resolve things. In some instances, you don't know if someone is, as a matter of fact, a bad customer or not, because they can be extremely likable, but behind that likable face, it's a totally different story. And that's exactly what we had with the story that I'm going to tell you about a customer. This customer was, in some ways, form or shape, an absolute nightmare of a customer. For a very long time as a business, we sold the 997 Generation 1 Porsches and the Porsche 996s. The Porsche 996s and the 997s were made between 1997 to 2008. Some were made even up until 2009. If they're not maintained properly, and if they're not driven and looked after, according to what Porsche recommends, unfortunately, with time, you can end up developing slight scoring or barcoding on the liners or on the pistons. In that instance, if it's really bad, your engine is going to start knocking and it's going to sound super duper rough. So stay away from a car with a bad piston. Well, with bad scoring, really horrendous bad scoring. In this instance, we had a Porsche 911 that came into stock on a Friday, or from memory, I think it might have been on a Thursday. We photograph it, video it, goes live. A customer calls us and he's adamant on collecting it on a Saturday. And we just simply didn't have enough time to actually carry out a ball check, an over rev report, just the standard usual things you would do on that generation of Porsche 911s. So I explained to him that we simply haven't had enough time to carry out these checks. He asked, is there any other avenues or ways that we actually check if the car potentially have any scoring? And I said, yeah, of course. You look at the exhaust tips, you look at it, you watch the back of the vehicle from a cold start. You drive the car, 200-300 miles to see if it's actually consumes any oil at any point whatsoever. So there's quite a few ways to check. Also, it's important knowing where the cars come from. That Porsche 911 came from a customer that we'd known, somebody that had known the business, that had known us. There was already a relationship there. So we knew that 911 was good. As soon as this customer comes in on a Saturday, we are thinking he's going to leave a deposit and we'll come back to once we've done these inspections. But he's adamant, he wants to take it away. He's quite excited, quite happy, takes it away. And literally 2 weeks later, he contacts me saying that he needs £8,000 to rebuild that engine. My first thought is, no, you do not need that money to rebuild the engine, because the engine doesn't need a rebuild whatsoever. He gets a quote from some garage up near him, somewhere in North, sends us that quote and says that's what the car needs. I've asked for videos, photographs, just evidence of it. And none of the evidence in terms of a bore check was provided to me, a compression test or a compression leak down test. These are like basic, essential data. He then proceeds to tell me that because it's got a warranty, with the warranty wise, these are the people that handwrite and custom write our warranties. He proceeds to explain to me that, it's not coming out of my pocket, it's coming out the pocket of that business. What's the big deal about getting this claim approved? And I said, quite simply, you tend to look after each other. If you're there trying to blackmail a certain business that, or have fraudulent activity where you're trying to get something out of a claim from them, we're not going to we're not going to entertain that, and we'll let that business know that that claim isn't actually a legitimate claim. To cut a long story short, he proceeds to start to threaten me 2 days later. He's absolutely adamant that the 911 needs a rebuild. We're following this guy online on social media. He's driving the car. He's putting miles on that vehicle. He's, just having a good time with it. This is in the background to it. This is him not even knowing that we know all of this stuff because we follow him on social media. And then, truth be told, he's contacting us, threatening us and saying all sorts of things. And it just went to a really horrible, nasty level with this customer, where eventually we just had to ban him from contacting us any further and, ban his contact details, because we offered for him to bring the vehicle down so we could carry out a bore check, a compression test, a leak down test, to do those checks that we're meant to do. And if that vehicle does indeed need an engine rebuild, we will do that under warranty for him. But he had a face that was nothing like that initial likable, smiley, happy customer that we first got to know here at the dealership or through the telephone. And I think this is the kind of customer that we as a business, or many businesses probably that deal with such niche and unique products like we do, you've got to read your customer, you've got to understand your customer. If somebody potentially is going to be that sort of a nasty person, it's better not to do business with them. There will be somebody else that's going to buy that Porsche 911 or that car of yours or that product from you. And I think this is just one story of a bad customer. I could go on and tell you other absolutely horrible stories with how customers behave and say outlandish things that honestly you wouldn't come across in your everyday life. And sometimes I sit down and I wonder and I think to myself, why does the motor trade have the reputation that sometimes it does? Is it really that all businesses, establishments are bad? Or is it the fact that some customers unfortunately take liberty because of the kindness, just the level of a customer service that businesses provide, and a customer is there just taking, because a business is happy to provide a high level of a customer service. But it doesn't mean that the customer on the other end is fraudulent, blackmailing, threatening, and unfortunately, in some way, form or shape, there are going to be, out of 100%, there's going to be that 1% of bad customers that will paint a bad image of a certain organization or a certain institution. And I think this is just one bad customer, and I think we leave it at that. And how I've always find to conduct business positively and well with people is to actually just be firm, polite, respectful. The customer knows what to expect. We know what to expect from the customer. It's a two-way thing. And as long as, there's a mutual level of respect, a mutual level of understanding, both parties are listening to each other, every single transaction will be a 10 out of a 10. So thank you for watching this video.